What's up, little homies? This is Bad Horse coming at you with another KTS and the tips and tricks other channels only wish they had. This week we're going to take a look at some CTF on Ragnarok and an easy strategy to help you win more games. Now, as always, it's important to have your whole team on board when you try and implement a plan. In Halo 4, 343 designed the game to be even more team-driven than any of the previous Halos. It's gotten to the point now where I won't even play anything but SWAT or Regicide unless I have 2 or 3 other teammates online. Now, it's still possible to get online and find a lot of good players and find people with microphones that you can talk to and communicate with. In fact, Halo 4 has made it a little bit easier for people with microphones to wind up on the same team by grouping those people that have microphones all on one side. Now, while having a microphone doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be a better player, generally the players that are more serious about Halo are going to have those microphones. That's why I strongly suggest don't just use your microphone to communicate with your friends. Use it when you're searching alone too, because you'll wind up using it more than you think. Even if no one else on your team has a microphone, you can still help them out by making those call-outs. And hopefully it sets a good example for the Halo community and more people will start using their microphones once they see what an advantage it gives them. Alright, so let's look at this game specifically. As you can see, our team has gone off and picked up the power weapons that we could get to easily. Because Ragnarok is such a vehicle-driven map, it's extremely important to get a hold of those rockets and Spartan laser, which both spawn neutrally. I definitely suggest before playing any game on Ragnarok, deciding who's going to go get that Spartan laser and who's going to go get those rockets, and sometimes even throwing 2 people or more at one of those. At the same time you have players running for those power weapons, you want to have someone moving into position with the sniper to cover the people that are running for them. It's very easy to be taken by surprise on top mid because you can't see over the edge. As you can see here, we're kind of taking a wait and see approach. We're not really pushing their base very hard because we want to see how the other team's going to react. Once we know, then we can formulate a better plan. The key power positions in this map are going to be anywhere along the middle. You want to be at turret, you want to be at top mid, and you want to be at pelican. These positions will give you the best chance of suppressing the other team and locking them down in their base. Another thing I suggest for you guys is to wait on taking those vehicles out until you've secured both the rockets and the Spartan laser. The last thing you want to do is just waste one of your power weapons like your Banshee or your Mantis. Vehicles are super important on this map. The Banshee will give you a nice weapon that you can fly over to their base, you can get a couple kills and fly back, recover your health, go back over and do damage to them over there. It's kind of an offensive weapon in that sense. The Mantis is more slow moving, so I suggest moving it into a position that's more of a defensive position. Unless you're very sure that you've got the other team on their heels and they're not going to take down that Mantis, you don't want to move it above top mid because it makes it an easy target. In Halo 4, 343 made it very easy to take down vehicles by allowing players to spawn with plasma grenades and the plasma pistol. Now at this point you'll see that we still haven't really pushed the flag, and the reason for that is that we're still kind of testing the water. The last thing you want to do in a capture the flag game is overextend yourself. If you get too many of your players on that side, it's so easy for the other team to sneak in behind you and then you're just trading caps. Or you could be wiped out at their base and realize that your flag's halfway gone by the time you get back. So now at this point, we've realized we've got their vehicles knocked out. We're ready to go make a push. I bring up the Warthog. I have to blow the horn a couple times here to make sure that Darvo sees me. But we're on our way and we're going to go get this flag. Now what you're not going to be able to see here is when we pull up, we notice that the Mantis just spawns. What you are seeing is that blue team is making a huge mistake of not having any offense whatsoever. They're not putting any pressure on us, and so we have no reason to keep extra forces back at our base. We're able to push everything forward up to the middle and use our sniper and long range weapons to keep them at bay in their base even longer. Now what you can see here is because of our fortunate timing, Darvo was able to steal their Mantis, and any time that you get the chance to do this, you want to go ahead and take that. This is a real double whammy for the other team because now not only do we have an extra Mantis, but they're down a Mantis. One thing I would really suggest, and all the pros do this, is learning the power weapon spawn time. If you can know when a Mantis or rockets are going to spawn, you can run there and be there before they spawn and hop right in and steal those from the other team. Now even though we got this flag capped, It wasn't the most efficient way to do this. Because we saw the Mantis just sitting there, we had to take advantage of that opportunity, and so we rerouted our flag runner on the fly, and we came up with a different route. And with him following the Mantis, it was no problem. And that's really the difference between a good team and a great team. A good team can set a plan in place, but a great team can be adaptive to the situations that evolve on the battlefield. So once again, we're coming in here for the flag cap like we normally do, and everything's going to plan, except then somebody pulls out an incineration cannon and is able to knock us over and completely throw us off. In a situation where your vehicle gets taken out, maybe you roll it, maybe it gets EMP'd, but you still survive, what you want to do is go look for one of their team's vehicles, and those mongooses are pretty much usually untouched. Now in the worst case scenario, you could run the flag on foot, but of all your options, it's going to be the slowest and most protracted way to play the game. Because of the 30-second respawn time for the flag, it can be effective to move the flag out to mid and then work it back step by step, but in that process you're going to incur a lot of deaths and it's going to be super inefficient, and the other team's going to have great opportunities to go get your flag because you're going to be dying just trying to touch that flag and make sure that it doesn't reset itself. I would only suggest running the flag on foot if you have no other options available. Alright, so now you're really going to get a look at the flag running strategy for this game. We've played a lot of games of flag on Ragnarok, and we've found that the fastest way to get from one base to the other is to just drop off your passenger behind the base and then go wait for them at man cannon landing. This works great for flag because the man cannon is just a few steps from the flag. That means that if they are able to touch the flag, there's a greater percentage chance that they're going to be able to get out of the base if they're able to hit man cannon. If you're waiting for them at the landing, they can simply hop on and you're gone before the other team even notices. That said, it's important to do this as quickly and efficiently as possible. If you stay in any one position too long, you run more risk of one of you getting taken out, and in either scenario that's a bad thing. Another simple trick, if the opposite team is guarding the back of their base fairly well, is to use jetpack and simply jetpack up and over the edge, dropping your passenger off in the front of the base instead of the rear. This will give you a chance to pop in and be gone on the man cannon before anybody even notices you're there. I know it may seem counterintuitive for a combat game, but for a person who's scoring an objective, the last thing you want to do is get involved with the other team. So the less contact that you can have with the other team, the better. Another adjustment that we made during this game is that we would usually have a gunner on the back of the Warthog. That would usually be Darabo, but we've had to change our plan just a little bit because of that extra Mantis that's on the field. Changing the plan isn't necessarily a bad thing, it's just different. And in this case it's actually better because Darabo can provide more firepower with that Mantis than he could have ever on the back of the Warthog. Now as you can see coming up here is a perfect example of how it can be very easy if you're parked in mid to just hop right in that Warthog, especially right there. I like that spot in river because you have just enough cover that you're not too visible to the other team, and the man cannon landing is just a few steps away, so your flag runner isn't going to be out in the open for too long either. Now what you see right there is an advanced driving technique that I've been trying to perfect with the Warthog, and that is nosing in right at the back edge of the base and pulling the e-brake. This spins the passenger around so he has an easier exit, and it just makes things that much more efficient. As you can see from the other flag caps, I don't have this technique perfected, but it's important to try and work on these things and take every advantage that you can that will give you an advantage, because that's what competitive play is all about. Shaving a few seconds off here, a few seconds off there, until you have a finely honed machine. Now this is a good heads up play here by Nick, who's riding in the back in the gunner's seat of the Warthog. He sees the extra players there, and instead of just blindly running into the base, he's aware of their presence when we arrive, and he's able to use a Warthog to take out those enemies instead of just hopping off and having to use his DMR to take them out. Now what you just saw there is that Nick falls short, and the reason for that is that 343 built into this game that anytime you get shot, you're slowed down. So if you're sprinting, you're getting shot, you're slowing down. If you're going off a man cannon, getting shot, you're slowing down. So you have to be aware of that. If you're getting shot in the back when you come off that man cannon, you're going to have a little bit further to walk. Luckily, he's able to make it to the Warthog, and we're able to make a quick exit back to our base. Well guys, that's pretty much it for this week. Just remember, anytime you're playing CTF, whether it's on a drift or Ragnarok, the keys to success are going to be speed, efficiency, and stealth. And a healthy dose of communication never hurt anybody either. I I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode. I know it's been a little while longer than we usually wait. As always, please comment, rate, and subscribe. You have no idea how much that helps us out. And head over to Revolving Bear and check out some of those other things that we do. Until next time, this is Bad Horse signing off. Peace out, little homies.